Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because the Frost family drama just went from reality TV to straight-up Netflix documentary-level chaos. Forget love and hip-hop. Forget scripted drama, this is the kind of scandal that makes you wonder if somebody's writing this just to mess with us. I mean, really, how many times can one family trend for all the wrong reasons before the internet collectively says, "Alright, y'all are cursed." But here we are again. This time, it's not Kirk's cheating rumors or Rasheeda's boss lady hustle under fire, it's their son, KY Frost, and a brand new leaked video that's already setting the internet ablaze. Now I've got two askwats in this video that has fans zooming, screenshotting and breaking it down frame by frame like they're auditioning for CSI, Atlanta. And why does every single leak make KY look less like a misunderstood kid and more like the main character in a Bet late night special? Could this be the smoking gun fans have been waiting for? Is the Frost family being set up by someone on the inside? Either way, this is the kind of mess you cannot make up, folks. Trust me, you're gonna want to hear every detail. Alright everyone, buckle up because this story is about to take you on a roller coaster ride that makes every Love and Hip Hop reunion episode look like a Sunday picnic, because when it comes to drama, the Frost family just cannot seem to stay away from it, and once again, the spotlight is burning hot on none other than Rasheeda and Kirk Frost's son, KY Frost, who somehow keeps finding himself at the center of scandal after scandal, and now with a brand new leaked video making the rounds online. The situation has spiraled into something far more messy than anyone could have predicted at first. People thought maybe this was just another harmless clip, something that would cause a few memes and then fade away, but within hours the internet exploded, turning KY into a trending topic and once again dragging the entire Frost legacy into the mud, where everyone feels entitled to pick apart their every move and analyze their every word, as if this were a court trial being held on Instagram and TikTok in real time. Now before we dive into what this new video supposedly shows, we need to rewind and look at how KY ended up in this position, because context is everything, and if you remember the storm around the tragic death of rapper T Hood, you know that KY's name was not just whispered, it was shouted from every corner of the internet. That case had the streets buzzing and the blogs drooling for details, because the CCTV footage that surfaced showed a mysterious figure whose walk and frame had people convinced it was KY Frost. Suddenly a kid who grew up in front of the cameras thanks to his famous parents was being accused in the court of public opinion of having blood on his hands, even though legally nothing stuck, and eventually KY was cleared. The damage was already done, because when you are famous, perception often matters more than fact, and no amount of courtroom decisions can erase the stain left by weeks of online speculation. So when Rasheeda came forward with heartfelt pleas insisting her son was innocent, and Kirk tried to play the cool-headed father warning fans not to fall for rumors, the public reaction was split right down the middle. Some people believed them. Others were convinced the family was orchestrating a cover-up, and then to make things worse, KY's sister gave an interview that backfired spectacularly. Instead of clearing things up, she stumbled through a shaky timeline that contradicted itself so badly it made even their supporters raise an eyebrow. One minute she claimed KY was at home, the next she slipped up about him being at a party that same night, and when pressed by reporters she suddenly got nervous and defensive, which only fueled the growing suspicion that the Frosts were hiding something. And once you plant that kind of seed online, it grows like wildfire. Fast forward, and even though KY was legally cleared, the whispers never really stopped. In fact, they just lingered in the background, waiting for the perfect moment to resurface, and that perfect moment came crashing in with this brand new leaked video. The clip dropped without warning, no context, no explanation, just raw footage tossed into the chaos of the internet, and within minutes it spread across Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube like a virus. Every influencer had an opinion, every blogger had a hot take, and every fan was dissecting the grainy frames like they were watching the Zapruder film of hip-hop scandals. The video itself, depending on who you ask, shows KY in a compromising situation. Now the details are all over the place. Some claim he was seen arguing in a parking lot with someone linked to T Hood's circle. Others say he was caught at a party where shady conversations about money and beef were happening in the background. Whatever the truth, the optics alone were enough to reignite every old theory about his involvement with darker dealings. The timing made it all worse too, because KY had just started trying to rebuild his image. He was laying low, trying to show he had matured, trying to escape the shadow of past drama, and then boom, like a cruel twist of fate, the internet yanked him right back to square one. The reaction was immediate, and brutal memes flooded Instagram turning him into a joke. Reaction channels on YouTube were breaking down every second of the clip for views. TikTok edits painted him as a reckless villain, and Twitter threads popped up overnight with fans demanding answers, tagging Rasheeda and Kirk under every post asking why they were still protecting him. And this is where it gets complicated, because while KY is legally innocent in the eyes of the public, every contradiction, every slip-up, every new leak chips away at that innocence and paints him as guilty by association, guilty by rumor, guilty by perception. And when your parents built their brand on being a strong family unit overcoming struggles together, that perception hits harder than any legal charge. Rasheeda, who has always prided herself on being a businesswoman, a mother, and a reality star who juggles it all, now finds herself in a nightmare scenario where her son is being portrayed as the downfall of everything she has worked for. Kirk, meanwhile, is being accused of controlling the narrative, manipulating interviews, and using his industry connections to bury truths fans think they are not ready to hear. But here is the wildest twist. Insiders claim the story does not stop at this one leaked video. Apparently during filming for Love and Hip Hop, producers allegedly caught KY's sister in another moment where she appeared to lie on camera, trying once again to cover for him. And word on the street is that explosive footage still sits in the vault waiting for the right moment to air. If that ever happens, the entire narrative could flip upside down, because then it would not just be a scandal about KY, it would be about the entire Frost family actively protecting him at the expense of truth and justice. And that is the kind of scandal that not only dominates headlines but shatters reputations forever. So here we are standing in the middle of a storm that feels bigger than one leaked clip, bigger than one tragic murder case, bigger even than one reality TV family. This has become a cultural moment, a commentary on how fame, family, and the relentless court of public opinion collide to create chaos that no amount of PR can fix. And the scariest part is that for KY, every step forward seems to be dragged back by another leak, another rumor, another viral clip he cannot seem to escape. And each time, the hole he is in gets deeper, leaving fans and critics alike asking the same question. Just how much longer can Rasheeda keep defending her son before the truth finally comes out? What makes this situation spiral into something even more surreal is the way the internet has now turned itself into both judge and jury, pulling apart every second of the leaked video, as if this were some sort of FBI operation, while the Frost family is left scrambling to contain a narrative that grows more dangerous with every passing hour. Because once the video reached mainstream blogs and gossip channels, it was no longer a question of whether people believed it was authentic, but, rather, how guilty they were willing to assume KY was, based solely on the optics. And optics have always been the Achilles heel of celebrity families. When one tiny slip caught on camera can outweigh years of carefully curated branding, the leaked video shows KY at what looks like a parking lot outside an after-hours spot. The footage is grainy and the audio muffled, but you can hear voices raised in tension, and you can clearly see KY gesturing animatedly at someone off-screen within seconds. People online identified the other figure as a local promoter with ties to T. Hood's crew, and that alone was enough to send theories into overdrive. One anonymous tipster even claimed that the argument was about money owed from an underground deal gone wrong, and while there is zero verification of that statement, it spread like wildfire across social media because, let us be honest, gossip travels faster than facts. Fans began piecing together old photos, connecting dots that may not even exist, suggesting KY had long been involved in side hustles his parents never wanted the world to know about. And suddenly, this single clip became a symbol of everything critics had been warning about for years, that the Frost family was not as squeaky clean as they wanted us to believe. Some Twitter users went as far as to claim the video had been intentionally leaked by insiders on the set of Love and Hip Hop, who were tired of protecting the Frost name and wanted to expose the skeletons hidden behind designer closets and luxury cars. And while that might sound dramatic in the world of reality television, it is never completely impossible, because where there is fame, there are always whispers of sabotage. Even Rasheeda's former business partners were dragged into the storm, with old documents resurfacing, showing lawsuits and shady financial disputes that suddenly looked like part of a much larger pattern of cover-ups. The scandal has snowballed into something resembling a soap opera where fans no longer separate fact from fiction, they just feed on whatever is most entertaining. The public reaction has been a masterclass in 21st century outrage culture, because instead of waiting for clarity, thousands of people have already written the narrative for the Frosts, and once the internet decides on a storyline, it rarely ever goes away. What is even more fascinating is how the reactions have been split across generations. Younger fans on TikTok are treating The whole situation like an interactive drama show, making edits with ominous background music and captioning clips with phrases like "caught in 4K." While older viewers who grew up watching Rasheeda build her career are more divided, some sympathize with her plight as a mother watching her son spiral, while others argue she has no one to blame but herself for raising him in the spotlight and never setting proper boundaries. The leaked video has even been picked up by podcasters who are notorious for sensationalizing every detail. One so-called culture commentator declared that this is not just a family scandal, but a reflection of how hip-hop royalty often crumbles under the weight of its own secrets. He claimed that the Frosts are living proof that reality television fame is a curse disguised as opportunity. Another insider quoted by a gossip blog went further, suggesting KY had been warned multiple times by people close to him to stay out of situations that could get messy, but he ignored them because he believed his family name would always protect him. Now, with the video circulating, that illusion of invincibility is crumbling faster than Rasheeda can post damage control messages on Instagram. Her comments section is flooded with people demanding answers, with fans and critics alike spamming her account with one brutal question after another. Why is she still protecting KY? Why does she never acknowledge the contradictions in her daughter's statements? Why does Kirk always seem to know just the right thing to say to downplay the drama? These questions are not just rhetorical, they are shaping the narrative, because silence from the Frost family is being interpreted as guilt, and every day they remain quiet, the theories grow louder. Some even believe the family is in full crisis mode, holding back statements until they can craft the perfect response. But in the digital age, timing is everything, and when you wait too long, your version of the story no longer matters, because the internet has already decided what is true. The tension has reached such a boiling point that legal experts are now being dragged into the conversation, with some speculating that authorities may be forced to revisit the T-Hood case in light of this leaked footage, even though the evidence is flimsy at best and not admissible in court. The sheer volume of public pressure can sometimes nudge officials into reopening files, if only to appear thorough. The Frosts are now staring down not just a scandal but the possibility of official probes, and if that happens, the fallout will be catastrophic, because it means everything they have tried to bury could be unearthed in the harshest light possible. Bloggers are already predicting resignations, endorsements being pulled, and financial collapse for Rasheeda's businesses if the scandal continues to snowball. The irony is that none of this might even be directly connected to the original murder case, and yet the weight of old suspicion has chained KY to it so tightly that no amount of explanations can separate him from the narrative. The Frosts have always thrived on drama, but this is a different beast altogether. This is not scripted. This is not edited for television. This is raw, unfiltered chaos unleashed by the internet at its most ruthless, and in the middle of it stands KY, a young man who might have simply made reckless decisions, or might be carrying secrets far darker than anyone imagined. But either way, the court of public opinion has already made him guilty, and his family's empire is collapsing piece by piece, while the world watches with popcorn in hand. As the chaos intensifies, the question now hanging over everything is what the actual fallout will look like, because scandals of this magnitude do not simply blow over with a few carefully worded Instagram captions. They linger, they stain, and they evolve into storms that consume reputations, careers, and even families. The Frost empire that Rasheeda and Kirk spent years building is under siege in a way that feels almost unstoppable, because when sponsors start to sense instability, they run faster than fans can refresh their feeds. Already, whispers have surfaced that certain brands tied to Rasheeda's fashion and cosmetic lines are reevaluating their partnerships, citing concerns over image and market perception. And while no official announcements have been made yet, the leaks alone are enough to cause panic in any business circle. The fear is not only about money, though it is about credibility, about influence, about the ability to stand in front of a camera and sell a narrative of strength and family values when the internet is dragging your name through the mud and dissecting every inconsistency in your story. The longer this scandal drags out, the more it becomes clear that it is not just about KY anymore. It is about whether Rasheeda can survive as a public figure if she continues to shield him, because the backlash is no longer coming only from trolls or faceless accounts. It is coming from former supporters, fans who once defended her against critics, now openly questioning her loyalty to truth over family ties. And that shift is dangerous, because a betrayed fanbase can be far harsher than one that never cared to begin with. In addition, there are rumblings that Love and Hip Hop producers are seriously considering whether the Frost family remains an asset or a liability for the franchise, since reality TV thrives on drama, but even it has boundaries when potential legal probes and unsolved murder suspicions get involved. Insiders claim there have been heated meetings about how much longer the show can protect K before it risks accusations of complicity. Some even suggest that producers are preparing to leak unused footage themselves as a form of insurance, ensuring they can distance the franchise if the Frost name sinks under the weight of scandal. Meanwhile, anonymous online sources are fanning the flames with claims that law enforcement is monitoring the chatter and considering whether the leaked video warrants a fresh look at connections between KY and the night of T. Hood's death. Whether those claims are true or not, the idea alone has people spiraling into wild theories predicting raids, subpoenas, and shocking courtroom appearances. The Frost family may be hoping this storm will eventually pass, but the digital world is ruthless, and every new rumor sparks another cycle of outrage, with countless YouTube channels and gossip podcasts using the situation to rack up millions of views. In the absence of verified facts, people cling to speculation, and in speculation, the Frosts are guilty 1,000 times over. Even the family's inner circle seems to be fracturing. Whispers suggest close friends who once defended them have gone quiet, deleting old posts and distancing themselves for fear of collateral damage, because being associated with a scandal of this magnitude can tarnish reputations by association in the cruel world of celebrity culture. Loyalty has limits, especially when careers and money are on the line, and the Frosts are learning that lesson in real time. While Rasheeda might be fighting to keep her family united, critics argue she is only digging herself deeper by refusing to acknowledge inconsistencies instead of offering clarity. Her silence comes off as arrogance, her defenses as denial, and in the modern media landscape, perception is everything. If you look like you are hiding something, then people will assume you are hiding everything. The ripple effects are undeniable. With every passing day, speculation grows about whether government agencies might use this scandal as leverage to dig into financial dealings from the family's businesses. Accusations of tax discrepancies, shady contracts, and misuse of funds are circulating heavily online, and even though none of these have been proven yet, the fact that people are talking about them is enough to plant seeds of suspicion that could bloom into serious investigations if officials decide to ride the wave of public outrage. In many ways, KY has become the symbol of a much larger narrative. A narrative about privilege, fame, and the dangerous assumption that notoriety shields you from accountability. Whether or not he truly did anything criminal almost becomes irrelevant, because the court of public opinion is louder than any gavel, and once the internet brands you guilty, no official acquittal can erase the stain. The Frosts are being devoured by the same machine they once fed with their drama and their hustle, the same spotlight that made them icons of reality television is now the unforgiving floodlight, exposing every crack in their carefully constructed image. And as the scandal stretches into weeks with no resolution in sight, one can only wonder how much longer they can endure the constant barrage of scrutiny. The whispers of betrayal within their own circle, the potential collapse of their businesses, and the looming threat that someone somewhere might leak even more explosive footage. Because if there is one thing we know about scandals like these, it is that they rarely end with just one video. There is always another angle, another piece of evidence, another twist waiting in the shadows, ready to drag everything back into chaos. And for the Frosts, that means their empire, built on hustle, love, and reality TV stardom, might soon crumble into nothing more than a cautionary tale of how quickly fame can turn from fortune into fire. So now the question becomes, what do you believe? Because you have seen the leaks, you have heard the whispers, you have watched the pieces of this puzzle come together into a picture that no amount of spin can erase, and still the Frost family stays quiet, hoping the storm will pass. But storms do not pass when the world is watching with hungry eyes. They only grow louder and more dangerous, and this is where you come in, because you, the audience, are the only ones with the power to keep this story alive, to demand answers, and to make sure the truth, no matter how ugly, is dragged into the light. Do you think KY is just another reckless celebrity kid caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, or do you believe he has been hiding something far darker all along? Should Rasheeda finally speak up and defend her son openly, or should she admit that her silence has been protecting him at the cost of her empire? I want to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button if you want the truth to come out, and make sure you subscribe, because this story is only just beginning.